space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Bellerophon. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Captain's log, stardate 47655.3. We're docked at Deep Space Nine, and we've been given our orders for the maiden voyage of a ship we lovingly refer to as the Belle. I must confess some misgivings at the intent of this mission, as we are to convince oppressed Federation settlers in the demilitarized zone to come to the negotiation table, knowing full well the reputation of their alleged oppressors, the Cardassians. The settlers have cobbled together a resistance with derelict ships and time-worn weaponry. They call themselves the Maquis.
Lieutenant Commander Kepler's log, stardate 47655.3. We're about to launch on the maiden voyage of the brand new prototype Intrepid class Bellerophon. I'm excited to test the new warp capabilities. However, it appears as though the mission we'll be on is not based in science or exploration. I suspected as much when the new cadets arrived straight from the academy, and there were an alarming number of them specialized in combat. Turns out the maiden voyage of the Bellerophon is actually a diplomatic mission. We're to investigate rebel outposts who are accusing the Cardassians of foul play. We're to find the root of the problem, confirm any foundation to these claims, and to try to talk the rebels into changing their minds, because that's always done well in the past. I signed on to the Bellerophon because I thought we were going to be doing exploration and scientific study. I am not a warrior, and I'm certainly not a diplomat. Kepler out.
Welcome to our second episode of Star Trek, the Bluejay generation. I hope you all enjoyed our monologues by our amazing cast members. I'm so happy. I was so excited to get those and listen to them and just be like, I have such cool nerds in this show with me.
It was so good.
It's amazing. I really, really appreciate all of you. So first up, Zeke, please explain yourself to the internet.
Explain yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Would you explain yourself? No, I didn't think I was getting enough attention on this show, so I decided to do a real play for it. No, yesterday I did a broadcast where a friend of mine, who is a hairdresser, Danielle, came over, and we raised it was the $10,000 goal for St. Jude Play Live, and that I would get my hair cut like Hulk Hogan. So she came over, she gave of her time, and 7.5 hours later, like we had the Hulkster. We dyed my hair, like we dyed it twice blonde, put 2 toners in it, and then dyed it one more time blonde.
Oh my God.
I had to wash my head 6 times yesterday.
I mean, as someone who has regularly bleached and colored their hair for 2 years, I understand your pain, but 7 hours is a lot.
Well, it had to be perfect, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is perfect. It looks so good.
Yeah.
That's why I gave up on the pink, because I had pink hair, and I was it took like hours. It's a lot of work, and she did an amazing job. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, she did. She nailed it.
Show the scalp off.
Don't think I went the extra mile. I went the extra mile.
You did.
American.
Oh, and the eyebrows. We dyed the eyebrows too. So, by the way, if it looks like I'm making a sad face or I'm upset or concerned or something, it's because you can't see my eyebrows. I'm not kidding. Like this is resting face.
Resting bitch face.
I'm pretty used to it because my eyebrows are also blonde, and I have to like draw them in all the time because I'm naturally a little bit darker than what your hair is right now, Zeke. So I feel your blonde eyebrow pain. I don't think that anyone else has made such drastic changes to their look in the last week, but what have you been up to, DJ? You're in a different place right now.
Yes, we are moving to Texas. So my lady Epic Girl and I have come out to the area we'll be living. We've been house hunting. We drove 2 days down and then have been here like since Saturday hunting and finding a new abode. So they're actually in a different room while I'm out here hanging with you guys. I want to make sure to be here because I don't want people to be here and me not show my face. So we've made some choices. We're planning on going a little bit further within the next day or so, and hopefully we get some really good news.
Oh, best of luck for your house hunting.
Yeah.
That's like intensely stressful, but when you find a place, it feels really good.
Aren't you house hunting right now too, Bluejay? Are you?
No, I recently moved in February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I found the place. It was stressful. I currently have Naja Tristere staying with me, and she's house hunting. So, because she just moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Moving is very stressful. So thankfully, I won't have to do any of that anytime soon. I'm still trying to get Holly to move up to hang out with me though. But I'm
literally up there every month. Like it's like literally every month.
So
it's fine.
Why aren't
like
you?
I live there.
You should live here. You should. I would be really happy if you did.
I like trees.
I sent Holly a card.
It's supposed to be 104 this week.
Oh God. I am never visiting you ever. Holly's in LA, and LA is a grown of concrete and desert and horribleness, and I hate it. I hate it so much.
I mean, I was born here, so I don't know any different. My own personal nightmare.
Last week we discovered that Holly didn't know that berries, like blackberries, just grow around wild. Like,
I was like, is that like free food on the street? Like, that's cool.
I mean, you wouldn't want to eat it because it probably has like car exhaust and like cat piss all
Who cares?
over it.
I breathe car exhaust every day. It's free food.
Yes, there's free food all around in the street. That's
just any berries. Yep.
Dude, I would just eat them. I don't know.
I mean, you could try. I hope you don't get sick. Don't come visit me because I don't want to deal with that. But what else have you been up to, Holly, aside from learning that you can pick berries off the side of the road?
Off the side of the road? Nothing much. No, I've just been streaming. We've been streaming Stardew. I've been streaming Dice Camera Action. Not this week, but next week is our 100th episode, which is absolutely
so many.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's awesome.
And then my new new D&D show, Trapped in the Birdcage, that I DM starts again this week. So yay, all kinds of just streaming. Yeah. Always streaming, always here, and then feeding birds, and that's all I do.
So what are you doing? Like it's gonna be 4 shows a week now?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's a lot to keep track of. I don't know. Like I do 3 shows as a player, and then this one. I don't know how people manage to do this, like any more than 1 show weekly as a GM. Like,
well, I'm 3 as a player, and then 1 as a GM. So I'm only GMing 1.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot.
Not so bad.
That's a lot of. I mean, I just have like notes upon notes, just like written like all over the place. It's not in any kind of organizational structure. It's. Well, we'll figure out if it works for GMing later today. What about you, PB? What have you been up to?
Oh gosh, streaming. I'm doing a Masks RPG, which is Identity Crisis, which is super cool. The 3rd episode of my new podcast launched today, which is called The Deep Dive, and we basically take video games and have deep discussions about them. And today's episode was Stardew Valley, which was pretty cool.
I saw that, and I was like, I really want to listen to this, but also I have to prep for the show we're in later, so I'm gonna have to listen to it later.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Huge labor of love. I'm really proud of it. So yeah, that's pretty much been my lifeblood the last couple of months. So.
Awesome.
Getting that ready. So
well, you should put a link in the chat for your podcasting for everybody to go listen to, because I know that Holly and I are both big Stardew Valley nerds.
Yeah, and it was a whole bunch of weird theories that you wouldn't normally notice, I don't think. Like it talks about, hidden dialogue and stuff like that. It was a really fun episode to do. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, I am really excited for this. So I guess now is the time where I have to start jamming or something.
Yes.
Okay, so we already did our captain's log, and I think you gave a fairly succinct last time on. But a basic overview, our crew pulled up to Deep Space Nine in the newly minted prototype ship, the USS Bellerophon. They got some new crew members, one of which was Lieutenant Lily Archer. And they've been assigned a mission. You'll notice on the Roll20 screen, you now have some directives, one of which is discover the location of Maquis bases in the Badlands, and also discover evidence of Cardassian mistreatment of Federation colonists. So those are your two main mission directives. Obviously, the prime directive is always in application, but I really don't think that this mission is looking for strange new life or new civilizations, unfortunately. And I think what we'll start off with is going to be a choice. Y'all have a choice. Now, you're leaving Deep Space Nine. I'm going to say that we can have a discussion in the officers lounge. There should be we've got one of the maps is the senior officers lounge room behind the bridge, and let's have a discussion about where you all think you should start. Let's say it's 0700 hours, the morning after yesterday. I would say that the captain is present. Obviously, Tuval is here. Roxy is here. Unfortunately, I don't think Lily would be invited to a bridge officers meeting just yet. She's rather new.
That's fair.
So you also probably have the chief tactical officer, who is... let me pull up a name. Chief Tactical Officer Gabriel Bell. He is a human. He's probably been with y'all for a while. He's probably commander rank. Gabriel Bell. And
I'm guessing he was named after the guy who started the riots back in the. I just watched that episode.
Really? That's so good. I'm pretty much pulling all the names from different Star Trek references. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he's named after that guy because his family is a bunch of like social justice, social workers, and him going into tactical and into Starfleet are two things that are very unlike the rest of his family.
So what was his rank again?
He's Commander Gabriel Bell.
Okay, so he's Commander.
Chief Tactical Officer. He'll be like in charge of you and your learning stuff. So he would be here. I would say you could choose to, as a group, decide what other ranking, like senior officers you might want to have on the Bell. Also, he really likes the fact that he was assigned to the Bellerophon because you guys call it the Bell, and his last name is the Bell. But it's fairly customary to have a chief engineer who you might be very close with, Commander Roxy. It's fairly common to have like a chief flight controller, like a chief helms person. So we don't necessarily need to fill all of these people in right now. But they would all be welcome to be involved in this kind of meeting. So you're all in the like senior officers lounge, and let's have a discussion about where you want to start with your mission, because there's some options. I think the chief tactical officer would be kind of having gone over the logs for what they think would be the safest maneuver. He's speaking pretty frankly with you, Captain Dren, because you've worked together for some time. And he says, personally, I think the best course of action would be to find these several, go to one of these several colonies that have reported issues with the Cardassians and see if we can drum up some less than savory characters who might be able to lead us towards the Maquis bases, either on the planet or in the Badlands.
Okay, but what's our plan then? Are we just going to show up and pretend that we agree with them, or how are we going to get their attention?
I mean, it's within Starfleet regulations that you all would be, like, they know that you're coming.
Sorry, I was talking in character. I thought you were.
Oh.
Sorry.
No.
Thought you were
I was Belle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I think that Belle would respond and say, if the laws of the region are not being obeyed, it is within Starfleet's procedures and regulations to make sure that they are. Obviously, the Cardassians have not been pulling their weight in making sure that the laws of the land are upheld, and they know we're coming, that we've been, well, any Federation officers that are still communicating with Federation, the Starfleet headquarters will know we're coming.
So we're basically going to show up. They think we're there to help them, and then we have to convince them to play nice, pretty much.
Well, yes. That is helping them. This treaty was... Do you not remember the war with Cardassia? This treaty saved thousands of lives.
It only helps them if they're actually following the rules. If they're really doing what they're claiming they're doing, then it's not helping anybody. It's just forcing one party to have their hands tied behind their back, which isn't very fair at all.
So you'd rather we went back to being at war?
I didn't say that.
Captain?
I think we treat this as a fact-finding mission rather than try to force anybody to do anything against their will or convince anybody, to start with at least. I think the first thing we need to do is find out what exactly is happening and find evidence of any Cardassian oppression among these people. I understand the implications of this, and our alliance or our treaty with the Cardassians is tenuous at best. So we have to treat this with caution. So let's keep our personal views out of this and come at this with aplomb and decorum. Agreed?
Understood, Captain.
Agreed, Captain.
All right. Do we have a location on the most viable target settlement?
Starfleet's attaché to the Federation colonies in the demilitarized zone, Lieutenant Commander Kelvin Hudson, is located on Valon 3. That would probably be the best place to start.
All right. Well, we'll set a course for there, and do we know how long it's going to take us to get there?
You would know that this really depends on how fast you want to go. So...
Is Warp 5 still a thing?
Warp 5 is obviously still a thing.
Okay.
Also, not to be a huge nerd, but our ship is able to do 9.9 something, which is kind of new. So if you want to
test it, it's really fast,
out,
but it's not that far, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's like jumping on a motorcycle to go across the street.
Yeah, and why not?
And your point.
Let's just go around the block first.
Warp engineer over here, like, I just want to see what this thing can do.
So I'm not 100% sure where everything is located in the demilitarized zone, but the Badlands are about half a light year from Deep Space Nine, and Cardassia, the very center of Cardassian space, is 5 light years away. So I would say that anywhere between half and like 2 half a light year and 2 light years is pretty okay for a colony inside of the demilitarized zone on the Cardassian side of things. The Maquis are located, like, their base is suspected to be located in the Badlands themselves, which, like I said, is about half a light year from Deep Space Nine. But I don't have an exact location for Valon 3, so I'm gonna say that it's probably like 1.5 light years away. I have a little warp speed calculator which I can link to you, Pumpkinberry. So let me just send that to you on Twitter so that you have it.
Yes, please.
It's obviously, like, if there's any risk involved in the journey, I will require like a roll to be made, and since you're ops and we don't have a main character helms person, that would probably end up falling to either you or to Zeke. So you put in the factor, and then it'll like say what speed that is, and then you can put in the distance and find the time, and it'll calculate for you. So
you said we're about 1.5,
1.5 light years, yeah, from Valon 3. If you in chat want to check this out, I just pretty much Googled.
It is so cool. It is so cool.
It's real good. There's also a chart in the actual book on page 205, but it requires that you do math. And I was like, fuck math.
Yeah, forget that.
I was like, math?
Hard pass.
Who needs it? We have this cool LCARS thing. So, Captain, you could ask your Chief Operations Officer how long it would take for you to get somewhere at whatever warp factor you'd like.
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, Lieutenant Commander, I'd like to get there in a matter of hours. What's the fastest we could get there at warp factor 5?
4 hours, sir.
About 4 hours?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
4 hours exactly, if we do 5.15.
Gonna break the speed limit a little bit, but that's okay. All right. Make your warp factor 5.15 and set a course. And once we get on the bridge, let's get this mission underway.
Understood, Captain.
Number 1, do you have any concerns, questions, complaints, anything you want to bring up right now?
Nothing that I can think of, Captain. I've just been trying to figure out what our negotiation options will be, being as the Cardassians are known for not really being very good communicators and holding up their ends of bargains.
Very true, but no one can argue with evidence. So if we find evidence, proof, it'll be tough for them to deny what is actually happening. So that's our mission, to find proof that this is actually happening, because the Cardassians will deny it up and down unless we have solid evidence. So that's our mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, Captain.
All right. Anybody else got anything to say? All right, dismissed.
Okay, so everyone in the senior staff can go and take their places on the bridge. There's the customary, like, unnamed someone in a yellow shirt, like, moves away from their station because they're not actually a character. You guys are, but they just have to, like, you always have to have someone in that position.
Someone's just there.
Because you're on a starship. So
my uncle went to lunch with Gene Roddenberry.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Meanwhile, we have a young lieutenant junior grade who, I'm going to say you're in 10 forward, Archer, Lily Archer. Right. And having breakfast before we make way. Your call time was 0800 hours, and right now we're at about 0700. So you've got some time for some breakfast and some coffee, unless that'll make you whatever. Like, what is it? The Klingon Raktajino. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna be drinking. I'm gonna be just drinking some black coffee.
Okay, very Janeway of you.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard that it's good for fighting the Borg. I'm just gonna sit there drinking some black coffee, just probably mulling over a tablet of information about anything I can find about the Cardassians or the Maquis.
Okay. And I think while you're sitting there alone with a coffee,
I'm just kind of looking at it like just,
one of the people you ran into yesterday, the science officer you went to school with, Ensign Morgan Daystrom, comes up to you in 10 forward, a little bit sheepishly. She's a human. She is, like I said, a little bit younger than you. She has very tightly curled brown hair, just like natural ringlets that kind of just go all over the place. And she kind of edges up to your table a little bit and then doesn't sit down, but like puts her hand on the back of one of the chairs and leans forward a little bit and is like, Lieutenant Lily, Archer, right?
I'll like look up from my tablet, be like, oh, that's is it bad or good? It's me. That's me.
We were in that ancient technologies class together.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
You sat near the front with me.
Well, and she probably takes this instance, like you're actually engaging her in conversation. So she takes this opportunity to sit down and like pulls her seat forward excitedly and says like, I didn't know you were interested in archaeology. That's my major. I thought that this ship would be going to more scientific and discovery missions, but I guess it's a little bit of everything.
I've noticed that I sort of took archaeology to be more well-rounded as an elective. I wanted to know more about about the universe as a whole. She's trying to
down.
Oh yeah. No, I heard you found that that didn't you find and she's basically trying to like impress you with the fact that like she's heard about something you did, but she can't actually remember it. So she's like, didn't you find that
it was the Tribble duplicator.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not really proud of that one.
Oh, right. I mean, all I ever found were some broken shards of pottery, so
honestly, I wish I would have found the pottery, to be completely honest with you. And she's like looking at her tablet, like she's just gripping it like really hard, like. Ugh. But it was interesting. I mean, nothing terrible happened. Thankfully, it wasn't activated. We just discovered that's what it was.
I always thought that tribbles were kind of cute, but everyone seems to think they're awful.
They're very dangerous. That's why I studied ancient archaeology, because you never know if you find any ancient technology, if it could be horrifically dangerous or maim you or fill your ship with terrible screaming little balls.
And I think that she's just like your negativity a little bit. It's like archaeology, so you know if something's going to violently murder you. She's just like, right, I always got to be on the lookout.
That's exactly it. Constant vigilance. That's one of my many mottos.
I'm sorry, Holly, you're too much.
Even for inanimate objects.
And I think there's that, like, okay, maybe I'll go hang out at the table with the science people. I would say that, like, if any of you want to, like, be done, like, you can be done with the senior staff meeting, and if you wanted to, like, come into 10 forward for your Ractigino, or like insert yourself into the scene and talk to any of the new staff members, or Lily, or that would be totally cool. Otherwise, we'll probably go to the bridge.
Just real quick, since I looked over, I'm sure I looked over I almost said employee. The ship manifest of, like,
yes,
people's, like, what would you say, like, are all of your, like, specialties? Like one, like, specialty that you would say, like, would be something the captain would take advantage of.
The crew members?
Yeah. These three in particular.
Right.
I'll let that, I mean, they can tell me.
I want to be linguistics.
Linguistics, cool. Okay.
Warp engineer.
I'm definitely go ahead.
Oh no, that's it.
Oh yeah, I'm security for sure.
If you, I know that you don't have access. I can actually give you access to each other's sheets. I'll give you access because you're the captain. So I'll give you access to people's sheets, and if you look at their focuses, those are basically like the classes that they took at the academy. So you would have access to these people's like information. So I'll go ahead and make sure that you can see that in players' journals. So you should be able to. I'm getting everybody making sure that you have access to their stuff. Do you see everyone's character sheet now?
1 second, please. I do. Thank you.
Yeah. So focuses is what they would have studied in Starfleet Academy. So like Taval, like you said, linguistics was a big one, but also cybernetics and prosthetics and etc. Negotiation, yeah. So these are some well-rounded Starfleet officers that you have on board.
Cool.
All right, so there's an awkward exchange of someone trying to make a friend in 10 Forward, and Lily gets to show off how horribly depressing her outlook on everything is. And then we will go ahead and go to I think that for this, we're just gonna, if you guys want to have some like bridge communications, you totally can. Otherwise, we'll probably just make the roll for the ship to get to where it needs to go.
It's not super important, but the character sheets, I don't think they're working for me.
What?
Do I have to close mine in order for?
What do you mean? What's up?
I can't see anything. It just says bio and info, and then it has the
go
name.
Go to character sheet on the top. It should say bio and info, character sheet, attributes and abilities.
Okay, second tab.
Yeah, second tab.
And I can see, and I click on Lily Archer. And then it says bio and info, and it has no information.
Does it, because when you click on the thing, does it have the bio and info and then another tab on that same sheet? It says character sheet?
Nope,
no?
Totally blank. It's all right. I'll just RP it out. I'll just ask. That's fine.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on. We'll figure it out, but
I might have the right privilege in Roll20 or whatever.
It's okay. Okay, so operating a starship. Pretty much what we're basically going to do is I'm going to say that when you're going to warp, you can attempt the task of control plus con with a difficulty of 0 because it's not a very difficult. You're not in the Badlands yet. And then you'll be assisted by the ship's engines, which I'll go ahead and roll for the ship. And if the task is successful, then you can just get there with nothing going on. And if the task is not, then we'll have some complications. So I'll go ahead and roll for the ship, and then either Roxy or the captain can roll for whoever's, because like I said, we don't really have a PC who's doing the helm. So
okay, if we don't have a PC that's doing the helm, then I'll take it.
Okay, so for you it would be control and con.
Okay.
And if you have any kind of like ship, I guess like if you have any focuses that are command related, you can probably use them to like command the helmsman. Otherwise it wouldn't be a focus.
Right. Quick question. If do we want to go with who, like, since no one's at the helm, do we want to go with who has the best stats or who would be more feasible?
I think it's
like, how far do we want to game this?
I think it's who's more likely to be doing that thing.
Okay.
Because I I feel like it doesn't make much sense for us to give this to Lily because she's not even on the bridge right now, right?
Right.
It makes sense for it to go to you because you're the captain, or for it to go to Ops because she's also right up front and could technically have the controls for the helm, like, and she runs the warp engines, like that's her thing. So.
Like Data also does ops, and he does a lot of that. When he says take us in, Data's always the one that does it. So
Perfect.
I feel like that would work too if you don't want to do it.
Be my guest. Take it over.
Okay.
All right.
So Roxy, then you're gonna do control plus con.
Mm-hmm.
And focuses. You have warp engines, so I would go ahead and say that you could use a focus. So you'd click yes on focus is used. Control plus con.
Okay. Yes on focus, and then task roll.
Uh-huh.
Did that go? There it goes.
Yeah. So you've got that, and then I will roll for the ship. We don't have a focus here. Do the ships even have focuses? Why is that a choice? Okay, so the ship also gets a success. So y'all are good to go. So you have 3 successes. So like absolutely smooth sailing. This is your first time taking the ship out, and Roxy, it is so responsive when you're pulling away from the station. It's just like the slightest touch of a button and it's just like smooth sailing, I guess. Let's just, more ship metaphors. It goes from 0 to warp 5 super quickly, and there's absolutely no hiccups. You're pretty much just like, you kind of wish there were something for you to navigate around so that you could do like cool stuff, but there isn't. It's just, typical warp faring. And you get to Valon 3 fairly quickly.
As we're traveling,
you've got 4 hours. You can say what you're doing.
As we're traveling, I say to Commander Kepler, did you do any tinkering with the warp engines or anything like that? Did you change any specifications? Because that might have been the smoothest warp jump I've ever been privy to.
Oh, you flatterer. No, I cannot take credit for anything. That is just the ship, sir.
It hums at a different frequency.
Oh, yes, it does.
I can sense your excitement.
Yes.
And I don't even have to be Betazoid to do that. I can see it right on your face.
I'm very excited, sir. This is wonderful.
How about you, number 1? Are you excited?
Extremely, Captain.
You sound excited.
It's fine. I'll be excited for the both of us.
All right, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, so you do have 4 hours though, and there's definitely like you could just be tinkering around on the bridge. There's also the opportunity to do some more research if you would like to. I think that Lily, you probably at some point you're gonna be called to the bridge to do your like understudy tactical officer stuff. So you would probably, I think you're doing half of the shift is what Commander Sar said. So almost by the time you get there, a little bit before, like an hour before you get there, is when your personal half shift starts at the tactical station. So you would take the turbo lift up to the bridge, and this is, it's your first day at work, really. Yeah.
So I walk on the bridge like Wesley does in like one of the first episodes, like like wow, but I try to hide it really well.
So what are you all doing when because this is something we don't really see on a whole lot of Star Trek episodes. The only time when you see the bridge is when something is going on. But here you are spending the majority of your time sitting in these chairs. Do you chat a lot together? do you are you doing something else on a pad? Like, do you go to your ready room, Captain, if there's nothing going on, or?
Yeah, I think I sit in the big chair for probably like an hour and a half, and just get myself used to like the new pad controls, if there's any updates or changes to them and stuff like that. Go over like specs and maybe check over the last diagnostics, like ship-wide diagnostics, computer diagnostics, whatever. And then once I'm satisfied that I've got like a general feel of where I'm at, then yeah, I'll leave the bridge to Commander Sar and go to my ready room, and then and that's when I go over like more in depth like mission files and that kind of stuff.
Is there anything particular you wanted to look up? I know we did a little bit of this, or particularly Roxy did a little bit of research and kind of shared it with you yesterday. But if there was anything...
I want to go over whether I can, or who would be the best person to delegate to once we get to the settlement to scan for evidence of Cardassian sabotage, like the energy sources that Cardassians use to like make explosives, or their warp signatures or stuff like that, to see if like basically like look for footprints in the sand of Cardassians having been there and done this shit.
Okay, so you want to know who would be the best person to put on that?
Yeah, once we get to the surface, to like if they say like the Cardassians were here not a week ago, can you see if they're here? And I say, yeah, let's scan for their warp signature or whatever.
Okay. So I might have fixed your ability to look at people's sheets and actually like look at them. So you can, that's what you would have, can you?
Yep.
Okay. So
you did it.
It's just, I had to give you editing privileges. So make sure you don't put anyone's like Klingon stripper.
I'm changing your name to Doo-Doo Pants.
Yes, that.
You're Commander Poopy Drawers.
No.
All right. No, I got you. Yeah, I won't do that. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll actually, you can move on to somebody else. I'm going to look through these and check their attributes and disciplines and see who would be the best fit.
And if it comes down to that, because what you have is you have your first officer, who is a science officer, you have the chief of operations, who is an engineering, and then you have your new tactical officer, not chief tactical officer, just a regular tactical officer. If none of those you think will really suit, then obviously there is an NPC aboard who would be able to do that, or you can do it yourself with the ship's sensors. So just so you know how that would work. If it looks like that no one's specifically good for that one thing you want, there's somebody on the ship who's supposed to do that, so just let me know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, since it's a role-playing game, I do want to utilize the people who are here.
Obviously, yeah, yes. For everyone else, we have you are at ops, Lieutenant Commander. Are you doing anything here? You are going through space. You could try to be like scanning any like nearby space to see if there's something. This is well-traveled space, so there's not a whole lot of stuff that wouldn't have already been scanned, and I probably wouldn't require a roll for it because it's just like flavor what you're doing. But yeah, I would like to know what it is that you're doing when you're sitting at ops.
Oh yeah, 100%. I will tell you, I'm probably spending way too much time staring at just the stat screen as it like spikes and hums, and I'm just looking at all that data especially because we're in Warp 5, and I'd probably just be studying it and being like, oh my God, look, it's not even using half as much as the last ship I was on. I am geeking out right now. Warp Drive is my specialty. I am like a kid in a candy store. I should probably be scanning for any special signatures, but right now I think I'm a little wrapped up in my geekness to do any of that. So I'm probably just...
Okay, well, your ship does have an improved warp drive as one of the things. So like this is definitely brand new. It's a prototype ship. So you are 100% loving just seeing the differences. And this is something that you could also go to engineering and get a lot more in depth with that. I'm sure that you and the chief engineer probably have an existing relationship.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's definitely something that you could do. Lily, you're like, this is your first shift, and I feel like the beginning is just, again, the tactical officer who's on duty is just letting you know this is what this does and this is what that does, and of course you've gone through this in the academy, but after like, I don't know, a half an hour or so, there's really nothing else to learn because you were just in school and this is a brand new ship, so all of this stuff is things that you're fairly familiar with. You're left just kind of like standing there on the bridge. The captain's gone into his ready room, but the second in command is still here. And I definitely like, is it completely silent? Are you guys just like not saying?
I'm squeeing and I'm like freaking out about this openly. I'm definitely like, oh my God, look. And Sar and I have an existing relationship as well. So I would just be like, and look at these. Oh my God, just really freaking out about it.
I'll just listen to them and probably just sit at my station. Did I overhear them saying to scan for anomalies? Because if I overheard that, I'm just going to do it.
I mean, you can totally, but would you, because you said, Lieutenant Kepler, Commander Kepler, you said that you weren't really paying that much attention to that. You're more looking at
I think if I'm on it, I think honestly, I would be too excited looking at the stats. I wouldn't, I've been waiting however long to get my hands on this information and see the ship in action. So I think I've lost myself a little bit in that part of it. So.
Okay, so I think what happens is it's that you don't hear the ops officer calling for scans, and because Starfleet protocol, that it's pretty customary to, especially because you have the high resolution sensors and an advanced sensor suite on this ship that's not actually like a lot of ships aren't equipped with sensors that can get this much information while they're traveling through this area. So I'm going to actually challenge you, Holly, to Starfleet protocol would be to be making these scans, but it's not your job at all.
Right.
So I'm going to say, if you would like to go with your focus, go with your value of being young and determined, and I would give you a point of determination to kind of go above and beyond and also step outside of your actual tasks and go and do these scans kind of behind Lieutenant Commander Roxy's back.
All right.
So do you want to take that?
Yeah, of course.
And obviously, because we're challenging this, you notice, you see, I think the station that you would use is probably the one that's behind tactical. So you go away from the tactical station a little bit, and it's right behind you, and that's where you're like, okay, I'm familiar with this, and you start doing these scans that Lieutenant Commander Kepler should be doing, but isn't. Right. And then you get a little notification on your console that the results of this scan have come in that you never started.
Yeah.
So
Sar, did you request these tests, these scans?
Lieutenant Commander did not.
Oh. I'm gonna wheel around. I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna look around on the bridge and I'm gonna be like, Who ordered these scans?
Is there someone on the bridge that has ordered these scans?
Were you just...
Holy shit.
I just I'm back at my tactical station. I'm like, and I'll just pull up my pad and just go, sirs, it's Starfleet protocol to continue these scans as we're traveling. So I just thought that I would help, as everyone else was busy, to just run them as a favor, just to help.
It's Archer, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Very astute of you, Lieutenant.
Oh, thank you, sir. It's protocol right here.
You're sorry. I'm sorry.
So awkward. Okay, so I will go ahead and turn back around and I will take a look at the scans. Oh, actually, have you looked at the scans yet, Lieutenant Archer?
No, sir, I have not. I figured that I would leave that to those above me, considering I'm not as well versed in looking at the scans.
Would you like to?
Absolutely. If you'd show me.
Come over here. Let's look together.
Yay!
Okay, so I'll actually have them up, and I'm gonna look at you, and I'm gonna say, "What do you see? Anything here? What do you see here?"
How do I read them, Bluejay?
Okay.
What should I do?
I would say that like if you want to just if you want to just like say like how much would I see or like how much would I know, just to see how this goes like fictionally. Let me just get like a sensors. Let's see. Internal sensors, external sensors. It's not internal. I think it's still going to be where do we have sensors? Hello. Control plus science.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say. And then you definitely don't have a focus for like ops.
No.
So no focus used. And then your task roll is just don't click on any of the numbers because it's just open-ended, however many successes you get.
Click control and science?
Yes, control and science. And I gave you a point of determination. Everyone should have one to start. These can be used to like buy extra successes. So you rolled one success?
Yes.
Nice. So you look at the scans and you are familiar enough, even though you didn't study this kind of like scientific sensor reading that much. You're familiar enough to see like the map of the sector, to see the scans of the different elements that are composing like any kind of debris, whether like it's definitely looking for valuable elements, and like you can point out to Lieutenant Commander Kepler the different like densities of gases in these regions, and like there's a protostar over there that is like forming a new solar system, and just like you know enough to point out the general like astronomy of it, but not necessarily enough to take that information and turn it to any kind of like tactical or because you would be looking as like your character, you'd probably be looking more for like tactical advantage that could be gained from these type of scans, and you don't know enough to translate the information you got from the sensors into anything that you could actually use other than just knowing what the region is comprised of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll just relay my tactical ideas and just say, my science isn't my strong suit, but I can give you a tactical readout and just kind of explain that, and that's what I'll do.
Okay.
Okay. That's wonderful, Lieutenant. I would just like to point out we can change some of these readouts for you for tactical in the future. I can put a custom command in here where you just tap on this and everything that shows up in blue will be science related, and anything that might be an anomaly or provide you with any good tactical information, we can code that in red if you'd like.
That'd be wonderful, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. I'll grant you access to scans like these in the future. You don't have to go to a different terminal to make that request.
Thank you.
Ah, it's so nice. You're being so nice to each other. Okay, so flavor aside, in about 20 minutes from this point, you get to Volon 3, and you're in orbit. You're fine. You got 3 successes on the roll to get your ship here. But what would you say would be the first thing you wanted to do? Like I said before, the person that you'll probably want to be contacting specifically is Lieutenant Commander Kelvin Hudson. There's also the opportunity you want to make sure that you know what like away team you want to send down, like who you want to have on that team, Captain. That'd be up to you. It's definitely like this first meeting is something that it would definitely be fine for you to have a fair few of your bridge crew present. If there was any kind of more investigation or exploring the colony that you wanted to do afterward, you might want to like have several away teams on the surface or kind of like split things up. But for this one, you need to contact Lieutenant Commander Kelvin, and
he's on the planet, right?
He's on the planet, yeah.
Okay.
So do you like send him a hail, or are you just going to pop in unannounced? Like they know that they're sending somebody, but it hasn't necessarily been announced. Like they'll be there in 4 hours.
Yeah, we'll send him a hail when we're starting to get close. That we're getting close. That we're almost there.
Okay.
And to prepare by getting anyone who has complained about the Cardassians, who might have seen them,
okay,
like eyewitness to their sabotage or whatever, something like that. Get them like in one place so we can talk to them all at once.
Okay, perfect. So you go ahead and send that message over subspace as you're in warp, and it will get to him when you get out of warp. When you arrive at the planet, they have sensors on the surface, and I think that there's a hail from the surface of Volon 3. So your, I think I gave her a name, your new helmsman, Lieutenant Cochran, turns to you, and she says, Captain, I would assume that you're in your chair by now. There is a hail from the surface from Lieutenant Commander Kelvin Hudson.
On screen.
Beep. And it appears on screen. It's a middle-aged man. He appears to be, like, he looks tired. You might recognize him because he and Cisco were good friends. So you might have seen him before. He's wearing the typical red uniform of command. He's not in like a Starfleet office or at a shuttle, so you don't see the typical background of like the metal walls and lots of screens. He's in what looks to be like a stucco white painted courtyard of some type. There's a big open window behind him, and you can see these beautiful trees. This is a Class M planet, so it's very temperate. And he's sitting at a desk with this great like scene behind him, and he's wearing his uniform, but you can tell that like he's tugging at his collar a little bit, like it's uncomfortable, like maybe he doesn't always wear his uniform. And he says, Captain Dren, good to see you. I heard that Starfleet was sending some more people to come and have a look at the situation here.
That's right. You have everything prepared as I requested? The other people that we need to talk to, and
it took some doing. These people have jobs and tasks, but most of them have agreed to come and see you. Yes. We've gathered them in the central meeting hall. You can just beam down. He like sends you coordinates for a place that you can beam down to that's near this hall. You probably could scan and have a layout of the city, the colony, the small town. But you don't necessarily know what each building is for. So he sends you coordinates so that you know where to beam down. And then he looks like he's about to just get up and like leave. Like this is the formalities of it, and he's done. But right before he signs out, as it were, he stops fidgeting so much, and he looks directly at you and says, Captain, I'm sure you've heard a lot of things about the tensions between the colonists here and the Cardassians. I just want to make sure that you know these people have lived here for generations. I've known them. Well, I've lived with them for over a year. They're good people. They're not just radicals. They're angry. They might seem angry, but just give them the benefit of the doubt, all right?
I'll take that in consideration, Commander. Just make sure you don't forget who pays your check.
Hudson out, and he just like ends the call. Like he narrows his eyes at you like, what now? And then yeah, he ends the call. So who are you gonna send down to the surface for this?
All right, so I looked at my first officer. All right, number one. First away mission on the new ship. I'm gonna take you because we're gonna need someone who has negotiation skills. Thinking about taking Lieutenant Commander Kepler in case we need to scan for any warp signatures or anything like that. And thinking of taking a couple of security officers, one in particular that I had my eye on. I saw her at Quark's, Lieutenant Archer.
And this is being said like in front of you, Holly. I know how like excited you get about stuff.
Just like
you're standing at tactical and you're hearing the captain talking about you.
Judging by how she behaved or how she carried herself in that little kerfuffle with the Klingons in the bar, be nice to have some muscle on our side in case things go pear-shaped. So, anybody else you'd like to bring along, number one?
Well, Commander, Captain, if you're referring to someone capable of holding their own, Lieutenant Archer is a perfect choice. She did soundly destroy multiple Klingons.
It's like exaggerating right now. She beat up like 4 guys.
5!
I had half of a mind to believe that she was going to Vulcan pinch them, Captain. It was impressive.
All right. Well,
trying not to laugh. Sorry.
Commander Kepler, number one, you're with me. Lieutenant Archer, a minute if you please, in my ready room.
Oh shit, you're being called to the principal's office, Holly.
I'm just like, and then I stand up.
And I get up and walk and just expect her to follow me.
Yeah, I do. I'm very, very mechanical steps as if I've pissed myself.
Does he leave before she does? Like, he's not in earshot? I'd like to just say, you'll be fine, Archer. You'll be fine.
Thank you, sir!
So awkward.
You're such a wee bab.
All right.
Okay, ready room time.
So I sit on the desk because I am not going to go all the way around and sit in my chair. So I just kind of like lean on the desk and wait for Lieutenant Archer to pop in.
All right, when I come in, I just stand in the most awkward place you can possibly imagine and having a conversation like next to the chair. Like, just standing right there next to the chair, just like out of tension, like, yes, sir, Captain, what do you need me for? Sir.
Lieutenant, this is a very delicate mission. And from what I've heard from Commander Sar, you're not a very delicate person.
She like looks at her hands like, okay.
But there may come a point in this mission where we need to disregard all delicacies, and that's why you're coming along. But also, I want someone who, with a little bit of fervor, a little bit of life in them, because these Maquis are, from what I gather, they're rebels. Some people call them terrorists. I need someone with a little fire in their gut to relate to them, possibly, in case we get in contact with them. Now, I know this is asking a lot for someone as green as you, but can I count on you to act when necessary and hold back, even more importantly, when necessary?
Yeah, she takes a deep breath and looks right at the captain and says, "Yes, sir, you can count on me. I will not disappoint you." And then she like fidgets.
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, and that dismissed.
Thank you, sir. I won't let you down, sir. I promise, sir. And she just like backs into the door.
Yeah, and before you leave, I just look at you and go, try to relax a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll relax, sir. Thank you. That's another order. Goodbye. And she just goes up the door.
And as the doors close, you see Captain Dren just chuckle to himself a little bit, like, oh God. And then like,
so young.
Oh no, he Picard face palms like.
Yeah.
Like, she's like broccoli.
Yeah, fucking broccoli. I hate you, broccoli.
Oh, good.
Perfect. All right. So, y'all beam down to the surface, and this planet is beautiful. The buildings are all. These type of colonies are built up so that like every bit of it is planned before they start building one structure. So it kind of just it fits with the slight hills of the location where they put it. There are beautiful, like super tall trees with like long hanging, almost vine-like leaves. All of the buildings are done in this like off-white stucco. And you can see there's like a large courtyard location a little bit away from where you land with like fountains, and just outside of this small like built up town or city, there's rolling hills. It's very like agriculturally based, and you can see from here that some of them are barren, haven't been planted, even though from the temperature and like, I mean, I don't know how much you guys know of agriculture, but it seems like this is probably not like everything else is growing and some of these fields are barren. So as you beam in front of you is Lieutenant Commander, where did I put him? I have a little thing for everybody. Yeah, Lieutenant Commander Kelvin Hudson, and he's standing in front of you. He's in his uniform. There are various people passing by doing their daily tasks, and he has with him a yeoman, just also in uniform. It's an Andorian, and she's just got her pad, and she's obviously his like clerk, assistant, note taker, treasurer, helps him to do all the communicating that he would need to do with the various colonies on this side of the demilitarized zone. So she's also here, being very quiet, kind of standing off to the side. And Commander Hudson, I think he, when you beam in, he addresses Captain Dren, and he says, "Welcome to Volon 3, Captain. As you can see, we're very proud of and he says we, like he's definitely including himself, even though he's only been the attaché to the Federation colonies in the demilitarized zone for about a year, maybe a little more. The treaty's not been going on for very long. And he says, as you can see, we're very proud of the colony and the work we've done here. If you'll come this way, and directs you into the building that he's got these people gathered in.
I am going to attempt to read his surface thoughts.
All right. So we said that insight and command were your reading people's thoughts. I would say I don't think that this is quite negotiation yet. Maybe diplomacy. Maybe you could use diplomacy as a focus here if you think.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So you can go ahead and click yes for focus is used. And then I don't think that he immediately is like very defensive towards you. So he's probably not like fighting against you right now. So we'll just see how many successes you get. And that's how much information you can get.
Okay. And you just put task roll?
Uh-huh. You don't click on any of the number. You rolled 0 dice. Weird. Oops. Oh, you did a challenge, not a task. You did the one above that.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, okay. So you get 3 successes. So what you can do with this is like I'll give you information because let's consider this a whole scene. Let's use momentum. So we haven't used that yet, but this is going to be like a little bit of a conversation. So I want to make sure that we're actually using the mechanics of a game. Momentum spends is when you get more than your goal for any kind of task. You can use your extra successes to either like you could spend one of your extra successes to like get more information, or you can bank them in momentum. These can only be saved for the scene, so it would only last for like this discussion we'll be having. But anyone in the group can use this momentum. And what it does is you can use 2 momentum that would establish an advantage. So this is like basically a scene focus that anyone can use. It must relate to the nature of your task. So because you were reading his thoughts, it would have to relate to that. And it can be used to either remove a complication that's already in play or just give you like this advantageous circumstance, which would maybe lower the difficulty of some tasks that we do later. It could also add bonus d20s to a task. So you could use a momentum to buy a bonus die. So then you'd be rolling 3 die instead of 2. It can also be used to make things more difficult for an opponent, or to just like learn more information about a situation, which is where you'd be spending the momentum to just, I want to know more about this. I know I got a success, but let me buy a little bit more information from like me, the GM. So sure. In this scene specifically, I'd like to make use of that. So your 1 success is going to be to learning this gentleman's thoughts, and then we'll bank 2 in momentum, and you can choose then to either spend them to get more information or what have you.
Perfect.
So here we've got...
I banked those 2 momentum on my character sheet?
I've got because the character sheet isn't something that everyone can see. You can bank them on your character sheet, but I also have some little momentum tokens on the map if you can see it.
Stealing our momentum. No, I'm kidding.
It's just so that everyone knows how many we all have.
Perfect.
So, what you get from the surface thoughts of the lieutenant commander is that Kelvin Hudson is thinking about, like, there have definitely been other Federation, not necessarily an entire ship, but there have been visitors that have come, like maybe admirals that have come to like check on the state of the Federation colonies in the demilitarized zone. Technically, they're not allowed to send military ships, which is why they sent you instead of like a tactical ship, because it's the demilitarized zone.
Right.
And he's thinking about how he doesn't think that you're actually going to make a difference in these people's lives, but he's willing to go along with it because he's Starfleet, and like he's still like he's thinking a little bit like none of this is going to make any difference at all. But you can tell that he's still a little bit hopeful that maybe this will be different.
Okay.
And then we've got 2 momentum for the rest of the scene.
Cool.
So you all go into this room, and it's again like that white stucco, wide non-glassed windows. This planet probably doesn't have a lot of very difficult weather because the windows are just like wide open. There's no chairs here. It's just like 2 half tables on either side of the room that are curved, and people kind of milling about that all stop when you get into the room. And I would say there's about, including Kelvin, there's probably about a half dozen, so only 5 other colonists. And they're, most of them are human. It looks like there's probably one who is like half Bajoran. You can see the little ridges on her nose. And they all, like, when you come in the room, stand on the other side. Like, they were kind of just milling about and talking to each other, but as soon as you walk in, they arrange on the other side of the half circle table facing you. So it's obvious that they're kind of setting themselves apart from you as a group. And Commander Hudson, when he walks in, like, also goes around to the other side of the table and introduces you to this group of colonists and says, everyone, this is Captain Somas Dren. He's been sent from the Starfleet headquarters to... Sorry, I should let you introduce yourself, Captain. What is it exactly you think you're here to do? And he's acting a little bit aggressive towards you.
Yeah, and I pause. I noticed that, and I pause. I'm like, I give him a look like, you gonna get lippy already? Like, come on, dude. I'm chain of command now.
Almost
then...
reach for my phaser. Got it. Like, no.
Please, yeah. Lily. These are Federation citizens.
she goes through the protocol in her head. She's like, no.
Yep. No, I just give the slightest pause, and I say, yes, as Lieutenant Commander, Hudson. As Lieutenant Commander Hudson said, my name is Captain Dren of the USS Bellerophon. We're not here to persecute. We're not here to accuse. We're not here to chastise anybody here. The reason we're here is to help Federation citizens.
And I think when you say that, one of the colonists from across the room, it's like a younger, probably like late 20s man wearing overalls, and he has like the very tanned skin of someone who's out in the sun a lot, probably a farmer of some sort. And he calls out when you say that, and he says, ha! Federation citizens. God, I wish we were still Federation citizens. It feels like we've been abandoned out here. And the rest of the group on that side of the table, like, mumbles and, like, nods.
I understand your feelings and your concerns. I don't need to tell you that the location you're in is precarious. What we're here to do is to see if there's any proof to the claims that the Cardassians have been sabotaging and or oppressing Federation settlements in the demilitarized zone.
And, like, there's a couple of them that look at you and they're like, okay, like, this guy's going straight for the, like, you've been wronged and we're trying to, like, help. But one of, I think it's Commander Hudson says to you, you must not know the Cardassians very well, Captain. They know better than to leave proof that they're involved in any of this. If we had proof, we wouldn't be having these problems.
I understand. But you also don't have the backing of Starfleet like a captain does. You don't have a cutting-edge ship like I brought you. There's no such thing as a perfect crime. I'm here to show you that. And I hope, given time, you will believe that I am here to do nothing more than to make your lives better and safer here on your home.
And there's the young half Bajoran woman calls out, and she's like, "So you're not here to try and make us move again?"
I'm not here to try and make anyone do anything. I just hope that you look to my example and you see the work that I'm trying to do here, and you start to build trust, not only with Starfleet, but with me personally and my crew.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mission.
If
that moves on to convincing you to... Or,
do you do that?
Yeah.
No, that's not.
No, but I am thinking it, man. I'm thinking it as loud as I fucking can. Don't tell
them to leave. Abort.
Abort.
I'm just standing there like, I'm on a mission. Just smiling.
If our actions here serve to motivate any of you,
we would love to hear your stories. We would love to hear what's been happening. If you can make the time to tell us, evidence or no, we'd love to at least hear from you. Sorry to interrupt, Captain.
No. She's right. We want to know as much as we can before we report back to Starfleet. So if you want to get your representatives, people who have seen these things firsthand,
okay,
we're
so
willing to talk.
let's make some roles to figure out, like, one, if people are willing to talk to you honestly, if they're like, okay, these people are actually trying to help us and not just repeating the same shit we've heard over and over. And I'm gonna say that is probably presence and presence and command. This is a little bit more difficult because, like I said, like, they've heard this shit before, and they've been they've had people coming to them to try and, like, move them out of their homes. So I'm gonna give this a difficulty 2 task roll. Any of you could definitely assist if you'd like to, specifically Roxy, since she actually said something.
Yep, I can do that.
I can assist with my happy presence.
I mean, I have composure. I have fierce negotiation.
Okay, you can definitely. I definitely think a focus is suitable here. So yes, on the focus.
I focus on negotiation as well. So I was like preparing myself for this. Like, yeah.
I also have focus in diplomacy. So.
Wow, y'all are so equipped.
Super diplomatic.
I think only one
it's
person
like
can
the
help
GM
with
knew
a
what
task.
We rolled and then made a campaign that was like
what
aligned with our skills.
I'm not that good at GMing. Don't. Okay, so the task difficulty is 2. Only one person can assist. The only person who's really said anything up to this point is Roxy, so I would say that she's probably the best to assist with this. You would roll, click on yes, focus used presence and command with a task of 2. And then, wait, I think it's a task of 2. And then you, Roxy, would roll, I think you're using more...
Reason?
Like... Because I don't think you were, when you interjected, I don't think you were being, like, reasonable. I think you were either being compassionate, which I would use insight, or, like, daring because you spoke out when your captain was talking.
Yeah, I will definitely go, even though it's less, I would go daring over compassion because I definitely wasn't doing it from a compassionate standpoint. I was doing it because I think if he said, if our actions lead you to want to move, they would immediately shut down and not want to hear any of it. So that's why
I'm going to say daring and I think command is what this is, just because it's all, like, negotiation. So you would go ahead and click on task roll 1 because you're only rolling 1 die.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. Fuck. God damn.
Well, Presidents and Command are my two best, like 12 and 5. So, like.
God damn. Jeez Louise. All right. Let me just check and make sure that getting a 0 on that doesn't like do anything negative in terms of helping. Helping die.
And also, what people might not understand about this system is you add the attribute and the discipline, and then you try and roll under it. So I'm fucking rolling like a beast.
Yeah.
Because I can roll low all day.
Okay, so it doesn't look like you, unless you got a complication, you wouldn't, which you didn't. Your loss doesn't actually affect it at all. So you get the 2, and then you have 2 more in momentum spend. So you can use those to, like we said, do better on the next tasks that come up. You can use them to like get some more die, get some more information. Let me just give us these real quick. There's so many things on this. Like, I made little layers. I made layers because I'm a good GM. All right. So these people are a little bit hesitant, but I think Hudson urges them forward to speak with you. And it's very much like one of them will step forward and explain what has happened to them. One of them comes forward and says that the Cardassians are imposing very high import and export tariffs on the necessities going in and out of this colony, and he's like not able to afford things that he needs because like this is a Federation colony, but like they have to do more like trade and barter than necessarily just getting taken care of by the Federation like someone on Earth would be. Are
they within the limits?
It's completely legal for Cardassians to like say what the tariffs are in their, technically it's their space. So but he does come forward with this being a thing. Another one of them says that, and this is the man wearing the overalls, he comes forward and he says that his name is what is his name? His name is Leon Russum, and he is like, he looks a farmer, and his farm, they have it's a bit of technology that I'm making up off the top of my head right now that helps to basically refertilize the soil so that they can plant whatever crops they need. Basically, it's just so you don't have to let land life follow if you plant a crop that requires a lot of nutrients. And this planet has like a very acidic soil, so all of the things that they plant that aren't native to the planet need this technology to be able to survive. And he says that the Cardassians specifically sabotaged all of this equipment that he has, and this is why the fields around here are lying fallow. Like you saw, there was nothing planted. And if you were to ask him to like prove that it was the Cardassians who did it, or like if he saw anything or like has cameras, like he doesn't, and he didn't. Okay. But he's very insistent that this is the sort of thing the Cardassians would do to try and drive them out.
Is he willing to let us look at the equipment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he wants you to come out and look at it. Like he wants to be like, look, this is definitely sabotage. I know my equipment. I keep it in good repair. So that's something that you could do, that you could choose to do.
Captain, I volunteer to take a look at this man's equipment and run some scans.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Are you going to send her out just alone?
Take Lieutenant Archer with you.
Understood, sir.
And I'll sidle up to her like.
Remember what we spoke about, Lieutenant Archer.
Yes, sir. I will remember, sir.
All right.
I would say that the majority of the other conflicts are things like there was a riot in the streets of a larger city a little bit away last month or something, and the Cardassians are supposed to be the security force of this area because the Federation isn't allowed to it's not their space. But when the riot turned sour, not only did the Cardassians not put a stop to it, but they actually like participated in harming some of the civilians instead of like calming things down and doing what the Federation would do and the Federation colonists are probably accustomed to doing.
Who were they like the rioters? What was their riot about, I guess?
They were probably, it was outside of a like a Cardassian not military because it's a demilitarized zone, but basically it's like their office in the largest city on the planet. There was a little riot and things got violent. Someone threw a rock at a window or something, and the Cardassians were violent.
All right.
So that's brought up as well. And then like there's mentions of family members who spoke up against the Cardassians and like talked about like the Maquis disappearing. Obviously no proof. They're just gone. There's specifically I think the Bajoran woman, the half Bajoran woman, her husband was taken or is gone, and she doesn't mention it. Someone else actually does, but she nods when they ask about it, and then the other person just goes on about their cousin from another province who got taken in the night. But you can definitely tell that there's something, like if you try and get a read on her, like there's a lot of people in the room, so but if you try and get a read on this woman when it's called out that her husband's missing, she's like, she was just kind of like everyone, exuding like concern and a little bit of anger and frustration, and the second like this is mentioned and you try and get a read on her, like shut down. Like she's like not, like she's very purposefully, I don't think that they know that, I mean, okay, so I think people are pretty familiar with like Federation species. Like she probably saw your eyes and realizes that you're a Betazoid, and like the second you look directly at her, she's just like walls down. So but yeah, that's the basic things. I would say the two or three biggest things would be the sabotage of the farming equipment, maybe talking to this woman if you'd like, and then there's that city where the riots took place, but that would be talking with probably like Cardassians.
I'd like to talk to, before we continue on, or excuse me, after we are finished with our discussions here, I'd like to talk to some of the families of the injured, or possibly the injured ones themselves during these riots, and get the stories out of them and what they went through and what they saw. But you say your husband was taken.
Yes.
Or someone said your husband was taken.
Right.
Was your husband a vocal dissident of the Cardassians? Would they have had any reason to take him in particular?
And I think that she looks at you like a little bit like her eyes narrow, and you can feel like a spike of anger. And she's like, who here isn't vocal against the Cardassians?
I understand. But there's a difference between saying we dislike what the Cardassians are doing and saying I wish there was someone that would take care of the Cardassians. You see my meaning?
Are you implying that my husband is one of those terrorists?
Oh, I wouldn't go so far as to say a terrorist.
I said nothing of the sort. Seems that you were the one who brought that up.
And like you can definitely hear in her voice that it's like she's being defensive. And like she's probably accustomed to like these accusations, so she just jumped ahead of the conversation, right? But
Sure.
she looks a little like taken aback, like, right. But not enough to back down, I think. So she looks a little bit like, right, you didn't say that. I just thought that you were going to say that because everyone says that. And she says, no, you're right. I'm just... The Federation representatives, not you, obviously, Kelvin, but they come in here and they just... Peace is more important to them than what's right. The Cardassians... This treaty might have given them our land, but this is our home. And people can't even go out at night alone anymore. So yes, me and my husband were angry, but he's a good man.
No one's saying otherwise, ma'am.
How long ago was he taken?
It's been about a week. And she like looks around at the rest of the group and like makes eye contact with Kelvin and then looks down.
Do you know anything more specific about who might have taken your husband? I know the Cardassians, but do you have any particular names of people that I should talk to get more information?
I assure you, ma'am, we are here to help. Can I try to persuade? Or use my diplomacy to like show earnest or something?
I would say that like that's definitely is like a thing that's happening right now, is that like she's trying to like you're trying to persuade her to give more information, either you or the captain. So whoever wants to make the role, like whoever wants to take the lead on this, I definitely think that like the amount of information she may or may not reveal, it's good to have a role.
Do I know the protocol for Starfleet? It's like if there is a treaty, like there's no way that these people should be able to stay on that land.
It was part of the treaty.
So they had to leave as part of the treaty.
No, part of the treaty was that they were allowed to stay.
Oh, okay. So they got to stay, but the Cardassians are harassing them.
Yeah, because the Cardassians don't want them in their space.
Okay.
There was let me just check and make sure that I'm getting this right. There was there was a colony on Dorvan 5 that was supposed to be resettled. The Enterprise was taking care of this, but the colonists refused to leave, and the arrangement was eventually approved by one of the Cardassian officials. And so because of this like precedent, most of the colonies in the demilitarized zone also refused to leave. You would know this as just a thing that happened while the treaty was being negotiated. It's probably like in your like breaking news classes or something.
Right. Okay.
So like very like the treaty is very new, but both the Federation Council and the Cardassian Central Command have agreed to let people stay, even though this land is technically within the borders of the Cardassian space.
Got it. Okay, so them saying that Starfleet aren't doing the right thing is technically not true. Because
technically, it is not.
Okay.
Yeah. This is to the words of the treaty. This is accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she meant we're doing the legal thing, but we might not be doing the morally right thing.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's very much what it is. Like to these people, the Cardassians are trying to get them to go, even though they've been told they can stay by just being huge assholes.
Right. Okay. Okay, yeah. I mean, Lily's very conflicted about that. So she's just like the little math lady is like going on in her brain, like morally ambiguous.
Yep. So yeah, I would say that one or the other of you can be the instigator of the role to try and convince this woman. I should give her a name to like give you more information. And the other one can help, or.
I'm willing to help with it. What do we need to roll for it?
So who do you think is given the lead on this one?
I mean, the captain's been doing most of the talking.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to assist in that moment when, she was having that reluctance. I just kind of wanted to hop in and kind of ease her along a little if I could. So I can assist.
Face.
Okay, so her name is God, these are horrible names. Sorry.
It's not your fault, it's their parents.
Her name is Ohia Eze. Yeah, really bad names. It's fine. And she can be persuaded by the captain with the presence and command role. I would say that it's difficulty 2 again, and the helping would be, I think it's more insight for you this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think command is still a thing. And you got complication. All right, you got a 20, so that means that there's a complication. Momentum can be used to negate that, if you'd like. Did you only... What's that second roll?
Me?
Oh, you rolled...
Yeah, I switched. Because when you said command and presence, I did that one. So I just redid it. So that's...
Look at you. You almost had a 20, but instead you did not.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Captain, you'd be rolling the presence and command like before?
Just the same thing, focus and all the task.
Yeah, I think it's fairly similar. Okay. God, how did you? Ugh. So you're just maxed out on momentum, I suppose, because the difficulty was 2 and you got 4. You guys don't even need this. I need to make the difficulty like 1 million. Difficulty 1 million.
Difficulty 1 million.
Because you're too
good. Too good at space.
Yeah. All right. So I think that she, in this instance, doesn't necessarily say more right now, but while like everyone else like does their talking and like things settle down and they kind of like go back to their homes, she like goes up to you. I don't know. Are you being like very receptive to like these people? Are you trying to be kind? Are you being more like commanding presence? Because I feel like fictionally Roxy's been more like of the soft approachable one in this conversation. So she might go up to Roxy before she leaves to go check out the farming equipment then. And I think she would say, I didn't want to say it in front of everybody, but my husband didn't get taken. He went he went to join the, and she looks kind of like a little bit ashamed and a little bit proud. He went to join the resistance cell. I didn't.
Thank you.
Of course.
Has anyone actually been taken, or is it they go and join the resistance?
It's definitely happened. I didn't want to. I have children. I didn't want to.
This is very helpful. I will be as discreet as possible.
Thank you.
Do you happen to have a list of names for me of people that were actually taken so I can investigate? If I can find evidence, believe me, I will take it to Starfleet myself.
I think that like
this? Or are we away from this? Did you pull her aside?
I think she very like she's probably, because Roxy was like interjecting with like, hey yo, it's okay, and you were doing the very like captainy stuff, she probably did pull Roxy away a little bit.
I figured as much. It sounded like she did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like she could probably give you a list of names of the people who have gone missing. It's like hastily handwritten. It's just like it's less than a dozen people, and like some of them like maybe she crosses out because she's like, oh no, he came back, he just ran away with his girlfriend or something. And it's very much like this is a small community, and this many people going missing in any instance is strange. So it's probably like 4 or 5 names.
How receptive is she to me right now? Does she seem like she believes me when I say I want to help?
Yeah, but she also doesn't believe that you can.
Okay.
And it's kind of obvious that she's doing this, but you know, she's just like, that's very nice of you, sweetheart.
Yeah.
But also like,
how naive. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. You don't have to answer, but it would help us so much if you did. The first being, do you have any names for anybody in leadership of the resistance that we can get in contact with? And the second would be, where do they go to join the resistance?
And I think that she looks at you and she's like, you might not be familiar with how things have been, especially between my people and the Cardassians, but we don't name names.
Understood.
Okay. I hope that this can help, but
it helped a great deal. Thank you. Good luck.
And she nods and like probably like goes back to join someone who's like waiting for her so that they can go to, I don't know, their communal lodge or something. And right there is where we're going to take a quick break. So everyone hold on to your hats. There's more emotional warring when we come back.
Oh, I tried, Captain. I tried.
I'm still just my face is still just like math ladying. I'm just like, what do we do? I don't know.
Nice. All right, we'll be right back, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere, but drink some water.